Hello and welcome to this year's Touchdown Wire video first round mock draft extravaganza. This is Doug Farrar of Touchdown Wire on the USA Today Sports Media Group. Hello, morning time, not enough coffee. And the guy over there is Jeff Risdon of Draft Wire and Lions Wire, longtime colleague, good friend, brother in metal. Throw the horns, man.
Yeah. Okay, it's draft time, baby.
Now we're ready.
Let's go.
This is this is where the rubber has already met the road, and here we go. So the way this is going to work is Jeff and I are going to play GM, and we're going to switch between even and odd. Jeff, you're the odds, which makes sense, and I'm the evens, which doesn't make sense at all. So I will throw it to you with the Chicago Bears in the first pick. And before we estimate what we all know to be true, do you think there's any way in heck that anyone could get Ryan Poles off the first overall pick?
I don't think we have any interest in moving here.
No.
Yeah.
All right. Let's make this the easiest part. Hold on. No. I don't want to trade. Start draft. There we go. Okay. So, Dr. Risdon, I will leave the first round to you, and I assume you've already thrown up the card, and here we go.
Yeah, so with the number one pick, the Chicago Bears will take Caleb Williams, quarterback, USC.
There we go. Any thoughts, or is this just let's move on? This is really obvious.
This is painfully obvious. The last odds I saw were 20,000 to 1. So
wow,
he will be number one.
Okay. There you go. He is one. Yeah, and I actually had the guy I'm going to take for the Commanders and Cliff Kingsbury, their new offensive coordinator. This was my number one player in this class. So they're getting a new quarterback, and his name is Jaden Daniels from LSU. I've heard a lot of Lamar comps. He reminds me a lot of RG3, so why not put Daniels with the Washington franchise too? There you go.
He is my number one quarterback as well, and I like this pick a lot. So,
what do you like about him? Yeah, what do you like about him more than Williams? Why was he number one for you?
I think there's a couple things. First off, he comes from an offense that translates easier to the NFL, and he also handled himself very well in it. The thing that worries me about Caleb Williams is he's capable of the spectacular. He's not always capable of the mundane, and the mundane wins.
Yep.
And I think Jaden Daniels does that spectacularly. He might not be able to do the crazy, wild things that Caleb Williams is capable of, but he does what the NFL does more of, better and more frequently than what Caleb Williams does.
It's going to be fascinating to see what Williams looks like in the NFL, because that offense really wasn't functional at all. He was trying for the home run because there were no singles. It's like, I don't know what else.
Yes. Yeah, and some of it, I covered Baker Mayfield when he started in Cleveland, and one of the things that they had to do, they had to unteach him so much from Lincoln Riley. And I actually give Baker a lot of credit. I think he did a pretty good job in learning it. The same was true with Kyler Murray. They had to unteach so much from him that I worry that a player like Caleb with his he's got a confidence to him, and it's not a negative, but he's very self-assured in what he does, and I worry that he won't necessarily blend with that. Now again, he could be great. He has the highest ceiling of any player in this draft. Don't get me wrong on that, but it's not a slam dunk that he's going to be this, superstar. In fact, the thing that worries me about Chicago, they got rid of Justin Fields because they didn't like the fact that he couldn't do the ordinary, that he tried to make the average play into spectacular, and he couldn't do it. Now they're replacing him with another guy who does that. So,
given the Bears' stellar history of quarterback evaluation over the last 75 years, I wouldn't worry about it. I think it's fine. The last franchise quarterback they had was Sid Luckman in the post World War II era. So no worries. They'll nail it. It's fine. Anyway, so the New England Patriots, number 3, and this is where it gets a little more interesting.
Yeah, and this is one where I would entertain a trade, especially with the new regime. This is so obviously the thing is the Minnesota Vikings. Are they going to come up? Yep. Where are they going to come up is more of the question than are they going to come up? Would it be to 3? And that sort of depends on, do you think that they are hell-bent on one specific quarterback, or would they take either Drake May or J.J. McCarthy?
Mm-hmm.
And what's your thought on that?
Well, I put McCarthy in my top 50. I think he was 38th. I don't think he's a first round talent. He has mid second round tape to me. And I always assume that a quarterback's going to go an exact round over his talent, unless his talent is just thermonuclear. Then, you have a Williams or Daniels. Drake May, you talked about Fields and Williams as the guys who can do the spectacular and struggle with the mundane. You've seen how many short passes May just missed. And I've had people who know more about quarterbacks than I do tell me, oh, that's coachable. Like, really? How many guys improve their accuracy from college to the NFL? How often?
We heard that about Jake Locker. We heard it about Christian Ponder. We've heard that about a lot of guys.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily buy that either. I worry about him.
Yeah, I think at this point, I put Penix 15, and no, it's not Husky bias because I live 10 minutes from the stadium. It's just, it's everything but the pocket presence. I'm not worried about the injuries. Bo Nix, Greg Cosell, and I did a 40-minute tape session with him. Boy, does that kid have it above the neck. I can see him as a first rounder. May I would struggle with. I mean, now that you got Williams and Daniels off, I think it's probably Nix, May, Penix, McCarthy. As far as all the McCarthy hype, he's going top 5. I don't get it. I just don't. Maybe you disagree, but I don't get it at all.
I do think he's going to wind up going there. I don't necessarily agree with it. And that's that's the part where where when we're doing what we're doing, you sort of get into the mix on it. Are you picking what you think they are going to do, or are you picking what you want them to do, or what you think they should do? And you have to be very specific on those because they're very different animals.
And now the Patriots are here at 3, and it's a different administration, obviously, but the ownership is the same. Part of the reason they're at number 3 is because they took Mac Jones 15th overall, when to me he was a 3rd or 4th round guy. So how much are the Crafts going to want to overcook the pick, even if the NFL's default mechanism is to take quarterbacks higher than they should go?
Yeah, and they, like you said, there are other quarterbacks that you can probably get later or outside the first. I'm not sure that Bo Nix is going to go in the first round. I'm not sure that Penix is going to go in the first round. So can you wait until your second round pick for that, or package a player with or an extra pick to move up and maybe get into the late 20s to make sure that you get the guy that you want ahead of like Denver or the Raiders or something like that. And I can see the Patriots doing that because they're looking at the best player in the draft, regardless of position, at Marvin Harrison. And, oh, by the way, they happen to desperately need wide receiving help.
They happen to need, their defense was underrated last year, but on offense, they need just about everything. So, yeah.
Yeah. Look, with what they had last year, you cannot go wrong with pretty much any position pick. They have a lot of needs. I don't have any defensive players ranked this highly, so I would say I would take Marvin Harrison Jr. here if you're not going quarterback. And I think look, you're not going to go wrong by taking the best wide receiver prospect since Calvin Johnson. You're just not.
Wow. Okay, so Marvin Harrison Jr. it is, the son of the longtime Patriots killer with the Colts. So now the
I hadn't even thought of that angle. That makes it a little more tasty, doesn't it?
Okay, MHJ to the Patriots. Number 4. Now, this is where it also gets interesting because the Cardinals, I think, right now, that front office in the draft room, their phones are going like crazy because everyone's going to want to trade up. Most people think the Patriots are so QB needy they're going to take one. But now that they haven't, you have Kyler Murray. You have,
with a lot of money.
Yeah, and the receivers are – wow. So I could see them trading down, but if you can get, and I'll go with my number 1 receiver here, who I like just a bit more than Marvin Harrison Jr., and that's Malik Neighbors of LSU. And I think Neighbors can do a lot of the things that Harrison, he's not as refined as Harrison. He doesn't, understand the little tiny things quite yet. He does get a lot of them. But this guy can do 2 things. Well, one thing, because Harrison is also a dog in traffic. But Neighbors gives you the additional dimension of just burning it up the field. It's why my comp for him was Justin Jefferson. And, you're an NFC North guy, so you know all about you try to hit him on a speed cut. You're not going to cover him on that. So for me, I want to get the player with the most possible upside in that offense. And there's a receiver I can build around. So given the need, the talent of the player and the position, yes, I'm going to be highly interested in those calls, and they're going to get a lot of them, but I'm taking Neighbors here.
Yeah, I don't have an objection to that. I do rate Rome Odunze higher, but you're totally right about Neighbors. His ability to make a simple catch into a great play. Can't argue with that. So, and they definitely need wide receiving help.
Temperament he's almost like a slightly bigger, slightly faster Steve Smith, just in his mind, in his personality. And who wouldn't want that? Good Lord.
Yeah, one of the things that I took away from going to the combine was that he was bigger than I thought he was.
Yeah.
When you watch him on tape, he has the game of a smaller guy, but he's not small.
And that was
surprising to me.
Yeah. It's like people think with really fast receivers, they're too small and they can't run routes. Well, they're all different kinds of speed receivers. So there you go. And he's not small and he can run routes. So I'm giving Malik Neighbors to the Cardinals. You're welcome, Arizona. Dr. Risdon, you're on the clock at 5. You are Jim Harbaugh. So are we wearing 3 shirts right now?
I think we're gonna have a trade here, and I will hold up.
Okay.
I live in Michigan. My wife's a Michigan fan, so I have a Michigan Cup. I will salute Jim Harbaugh's departure on that. I think this is where Minnesota comes up.
Okay.
They did not make that trade with the Houston Texans a few weeks ago to acquire an extra first-round pick for nothing. They clearly need a quarterback. They are a very good football team outside of their massive black hole at quarterback. So you trade, 13 and 23?
They have 11 and they have 11 and 23 to trade.
11, 23, and you always have an extra. You always do the weird thing where like they'll send a 3rd round pick this year, and then the Chargers will send a 2nd round pick back next year. That's how these trades always work for whatever reason. So that would be the trade that I would make there.
Okay, well the Chargers at this point do not have a 2nd round pick, so let's throw a
third this year and get like maybe the 2nd next year. That's more in line with the trade that the Texans made to get Deshaun Watson back in 2017.
Oof, and all the Browns fans just turned off the video. So we're sending 11, 23, and 129 from Minnesota to the Chargers for 5 and what? So you want
let's do a 4th or a 5th.
I'll give him 110 from the Bears.
Okay, that's good.
With that, we're just going to.
I love trading traded picks. That's one of my favorite hobbies to do.
That's funny.
That's great.
Force this trade. No, I don't want to trade players, guys. Come on. There we go. Trade accepted because we say so. Okay, so with the 5th overall pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Minnesota Vikings are on the clock. Let's just go to quarterback.
Yep, I'm going to lean. I know that they made there. That PFF does here, and that I do think that McCarthy's rating prejudice here is a little crazy. But look, Drake May, he has a connection with Josh McCown. He has the upside. Who, by the way, McCown is their quarterbacks coach, newly hired this year. Yep. He was affiliated with May back in college. They are a team that has shown that now. Obviously, that was back in the past, but they will take risks on quarterbacks and just players in general that aren't necessarily finished products. Some of them have worked, some of them have not. I think it's going to be Drake May.
At LSU, he couldn't rush the passer at all. He was just a fast guy going in a straight line, and now he has over 100 sacks. So there you go.
That's exactly right. Yeah, I think Drake May would be their pick here, and he's absolutely. Well, I shouldn't say. They will think he's absolutely worthy of moving up for it. I don't necessarily agree with that, but I do think that they would take him over J.J. McCarthy. And then again, not that I don't think that Michigan, the fluff on the Michigan quarterback is not real, but I do think that it's a little higher than I think what the NFL will see it.
I think analysts have gone a little too overboard with McCarthy more than teams have.
I would agree. Yeah, and we saw this a few years ago with Malik Willis. It's nothing like that.
No,
but. Remember covering the Lions, I remember there was a wide swath of Lions fandom that was like, Malik Willis at 2 overall. No, 8 notches. Forget that guy.
Yeah.
We're not to that, but McCarthy's not – I don't think he's going in the top 5. In fact, his betting over-under line just moved back from 5.5 to 7.5. So that gives you an idea that maybe the teams are starting to figure that out too.
I think with McCarthy, and he does have a good deep arm. He is mobile. He can win in the designed run game. But I think when you're dealing with a guy who sort of hit his ceiling in college, that scares me to death. And I think the same was true of Mac Jones when he was in that heavy, 11 out of 10 plays was an RPO. Oh, he's a perfectly fine NFL. Well, okay, sure. I guess maybe not.
Yeah.
Okay,
I do grade McCarthy better than Mac Jones, but your point is definitely taken.
Yeah. So Drake May to the Vikings at 5. And one reason I love this is Kevin O'Connell, their head coach, is so good at scheming guys open, presenting a favorable first read. It's kind of like what Sean McVay did to Jared Goff when he became the Ram. And Goff had that horrible, like the worst rookie season ever under Rob Boris and Jeff Fisher. And then McVay comes in and says, the first thing, man, your first read is always going to be open. And it worked. So there you go. Same thing Mike McCoy did with Tim Tebow back in the day. Okay, the Giants.
Vikings also have a good offensive line to protect him, too. So
yes, they
that
do.
helps, too.
Absolutely. So with the 6th overall pick, the New York Giants are going to give their – and now that you've got the quarterbacks kind of off the board, I think the trades become a little less compelling, although we have a couple of interesting ideas later. So with the 6th overall pick – the Giants are going to stay the course with Daniel Jones, and they're going to give Mr. Jones, your favorite receiver and one of mine, maybe the most competitive player in this draft class, regardless of position. This guy just wants to win a lot. So that's Rome Odunze of Washington, just a tremendous overall player. Maybe like a bit faster DeAndre Hopkins. One of my comps with him was imagine Terrell Owens without the nonsense. But there's, however you want to look at him as an NFL comp, there's no question this guy is just a baller.
Great player. And he will fit in very well in New York. He has that comfortable wearing the spotlight pretty well. And, I was at their game at Michigan State last year, and just watching him in warmups, catching just ridiculous throws that nobody should even be attempting to catch. And he's getting them with one hand, practicing NFL things, getting 2 feet down, little things like that. It's there with him.
He's so immensely, even better than some star receivers in the NFL now. I would say he is so good at the little details, practicing them over and over and over. It's like Bruce Lee said, I don't fear the man who has practiced 1,000 moves one time. I fear the guy who has practiced one move 1,000. Rome Odunze is a guy who's practiced the one move 1,000, so you should fear him. And that's a really good pick for them. So the Tennessee Titans, okay, Jeff, so we're just going to put a left tackle here, right?
I mean,
is there any reason to do anything else? I don't know.
No, there's not. They had pass rush issues last year as well, but you can, if you can't protect your young quarterback in Will Levis, and I think that he's a keeper. I think that they can build around that.
Yeah.
You've got to get somebody in there to replace Taylor Lewan a year or two late, and that's Joe Alt. Pretty clearly the top tackle. This is one that I've had in just about every mock draft I've done, and I've never seen a reason to change it. So that would be my pick.
Yeah, his brother John, by the way, was he's in the Kansas City Chiefs Ring of Honor as a multiple Pro Bowl left tackle. So there you go. Yeah. Good player. I'm a little worried about the height, but he seems to have – he's like 6'8 plus, but he seems to have his leverage down like about a 6'6 guy. So, it's a lead pipe lock that they're going to get a left tackle, you would think. But so it's Mr. Alt at 7 of the Titans. Number 8, I'm not even thinking about this. Quinyon Mitchell, baby. Mac forever.
Wow.
I comped him to Richard Sherman. He is my favorite cornerback in this draft class. And I think when he gets to the NFL, because, yes, they need pass rush, but work with me here. And you watch a lot of, obviously, NFL football, but Lions football. And you've seen how Aaron Glenn has had to kind of alternate between zone and man. And I think he prefers zone. But, as dominant as their pass rush can be with Hutchinson and Lee McNeil and other people, how many times was their pass rush foiled because guys were just open? So I think in the case of the Falcons, yes, they need pass rush help. Yes, they need, they've obviously done a lot to fix their offense. But I think if you have Quinyon Mitchell and AJ Terrell in that secondary and Jesse Bates, by the way, I think you're fine. And I think you're going to get more sacks out of coverage than you might think. And I just love, I love big, lanky, aggressive, mean corners who just want to kick your ass. And that's exactly what he is. So it's a high pick for a Matt guy. I get it. But if you watched him at the Senior Bowl, and I know you did, you saw his combine drills. I know you did. This, to me, I don't even worry about it. I don't think about it twice. That's a no-brainer for me.
I love it. I'll just share a little anecdote from when I interviewed Quinyon down at the Senior Bowl. I'm an Ohio Bobcat. I'm a Mac guy. So I was wearing an Ohio Bobcat hat, and he came up to me. He went to Toledo, obviously. They're Mac rivals. He's like, sorry for kicking y'all's ass. And, he was serious.
See,
but he was also like,
that's
and I'm like, that's great. Like, yes, man, give me that competitive, give me that smarm. I love that.
Yep.
I love that in my corner.
Yep. My comp for him in my top 50 comps was Sherm, and that's exactly what Sherm would say were he in that moment, no doubt. Okay, so the Bears have already taken Caleb Williams at 9, Jeffrey. Who are they at 1? Who are they taking at 9?
So you're looking at Brock Bowers there.
Mm-hmm.
I like him a lot.
Yep.
And he is a unique weapon. And when you've got a unique weapon at quarterback, and I think Caleb Williams can be a unique weapon, the idea of having 2 of them, that's interesting to me.
Yeah.
With the wide receivers off the board, I think this is early for Brian Thomas. I'm not taking Cooper DeJean here. I'm not taking Latu here because they signed Montez Sweat. They do need pass rush help, but I like the receiver. This is a spot where I can see them trading out too. If there's a team that really wants to make sure that they're getting their pick of the top pass rusher, or with the cornerbacks, it feels like there's 2 at the top, and I know that PFF doesn't necessarily reflect this because I don't think they like Terrion Arnold that much, but it feels like there's Mitchell and Arnold and then a gap and then everybody else. And if a team really wants to make sure that they're getting that guy, this could be a spot where they would move up for that.
Mm-hmm.
But, if the teams that are typically the Colts, the Saints, the Eagles, if they ever decide to trade one of their 39 day 2 picks and day 3 picks to move up. They don't do that, though. They will draft, 9 guys who have no chance of making their team instead. That's what they do.
Yep.
But if ever there was a year for them to do it, this is the year to do it.
So let's. I'm going to propose a trade. This is one of my teams, one of the evens. New Orleans Saints at 14. Ryan Ramczyk, unfortunately, the right tackle, a great right tackle, maybe out all season with various injury issues, and their left tackle is Trevor Penning. And I gave the Saints an F- when they took Penning. I've had 2 players I've ever scouted that I considered, 3. It was Ryan Mallett. It was Liam Eichenberg, and it was Penning, where I was like, it's not anything personal. It's not like he was a jerk or anything. I watched his college tape. I watched the Senior Bowl, and everyone loves him because he's just beating people up. And I'm like, I don't see any blocking ability. If he wants to go MMA, sure, but that's not what this is. So the Saints desperately need tackle help.
Yes, they do.
So I'm going to say I am running New Orleans Saints, and I'm going to propose 14 and 45 for the 9th overall pick.
Will they take that? That's an interesting one because that feels like it's about the right range. And it might be one of those where maybe the Bears have to send back a 6th or a 7th, or you do a pick swap. Like what's up there? 170. Was that 170 for like a later pick?
Yeah. Well, here's the other thing as we're looking at this. I mean, the Bears have 975 and 122. They got 4 picks in this whole draft. The Saints have a ton. So the Bears, I mean, yes, they have Caleb Williams, and everything's encouraging, but they have a lot of needs, and they don't have a lot of picks to fill them. Yeah.
Yeah, so that would be one. I think maybe if you would throw like 190 in there, that might get it done.
Okay, I can do that.
All right.
I will force this trade.
All right.
Off we go. So
now we got to figure out which tackle do we want.
Yep. So you go back to G here.
Yeah.
Here are your
tackles. I like Fautanu.
Thank you.
Well, if that's good with you, that's good with me because he would be my next graded offensive lineman. He's so high end, and I do think he can play tackle. I think he'd also be a spectacular guard.
Mm-hmm.
I think he can play tackle in the NFL. I'm not all that worried about whatever his deficiencies might be. I like him a lot. So.
Everyone says, short, wingspan, blah, blah, blah. And when I did my comp piece, I comped him to David Bakhtiari, who, as you well know, was really great at left tackle for a long time. Very similar measurables. Nobody looked at Bakhtiari coming to Colorado going, oh, this guy looks like a prototypical left tackle. Well, guess what? He was great in the right offense. I think what I wrote about Fautanu in my scouting report was I think he could be a Pro Bowl tackle, I think he could be an all-pro guard. So either way, I think you're fine.
Yeah, that's fair. Similar to the Zach Martin conversation back in the day.
Very much so. So you're taking Fatano at 9.
Yeah.
As a Saints GM.
I'm good with that.
Yeah. Okay, the New York Jets going right back to OT. No mystery there. And I'm going to take Mr. Fashanu.
All right.
I think there are things to work on, but it just the combination of athleticism, nascent sort of power. The more I watched him, the more I thought, okay, this guy, he looks like a left tackle. And assuming that Aaron Rodgers doesn't run for president or go move to another planet, which everything's on the table there.
Either of those could happen.
They're going to need that help.
Yeah.
So that's an easy one for me. And that's their biggest need. So there you go. So you're back on the board at 11 with the Chargers. What is your choice?
So the Chargers have moved back, and I'm looking, and Brock Bowers is sexy there. I know they need a wide receiver, but this is – look, if you go back and you study Jim Harbaugh, going back to the Jake Butt days, and they've always had impressive, useful tight ends, and Bowers I love that idea. So that I would consider taking him at 5. At 11, I think he's very clearly the best player left on the board on my board. So I'm going Brock Bowers here.
The thing that really stood out to me for Bowers when I watched him intently and did the scouting report is I think in the NFL, he's going to be more of an explosive target than he was in college because, Georgia's offense was fine, but they didn't really ask him to go upfield on seam routes and, fades and corners and overs and things like that. It's why my comp for him was Kittle because Kittle played at Iowa and never caught more than 22 balls in a season because it was Iowa. And then he gets into the NFL in the 5th round, I believe, which is insane. And now he's George Kittle. I think you get Bowers in the right offense, and this would certainly be one of the right offenses. You're like, this really works. So I think, and it does give Justin Herbert that reliable target he desperately needs. It's such a stacked class of receivers that you can get a good guy later. It's obviously a huge need for them with all the cap stuff.
Exactly right. And you got 23 coming up where you can get that guy potentially.
Yeah. So, I love that pick. Okay, the Denver Broncos. Now it's time to get weird. So I have the even pick here, and I have the even pick at 24. Here's what I propose. Denver Broncos at 12. Dallas Cowboys at 24. We're going 12-24. And Dak Prescott is about to become a Denver Bronco. And we're going to throw in first-round pick for next year. Because the Broncos don't care about their first-round picks. They've proven that. What say you? I don't want to just, these are both odd or even teams, but I don't want to just go all Sex Pistols without consulting with you.
It's weird, but weird happens, man.
Weird happens. Do you think that's too rich on either side?
No, I don't actually. I think that's probably fairly ballpark because again, Denver's gonna have to pay him. I don't know how they're gonna pay him, but that's their problem. That's their problem.
Okay, so we're gonna take the Cowboys up to 12, and the Broncos get Dak Prescott, and the Cowboys get a first-round pick next year. So we're gonna go with that. Now, Dallas Cowboys are on the clock at 12.
And now they need a quarterback.
And I'm going to go with I'm not worried about Penix's injury history. He played 2 seasons at Washington after all the stuff at Indiana. He was just fine. The only thing I'm worried about is how he can sort of work in the pocket with pressure around him. I think he's more mobile than people think. Best deep ball thrower in this class, but he had 117 attempts, Jeff, last season of 20 or more air yards. 117. No other NCAA quarterback, regardless of conference, had more than 85.
Yeah, that Washington offense. Now, some of it was he had great receivers to work with, but going to Dallas, they got a pretty good core there to start with. So I'm not that high on him. He would be below McCarthy and Nix for me, but I understand the allure of Penix. And I do, of Nix and Penix, the 2 guys who are generally outside the accepted top 4, I do think the Penix is going to be drafted first. So it's early, but hey, we just made a crazy trade. Why not continue with the crazy selection? And it's easy to see like him fitting into a Dak Prescott style offense. And they won't have to change their offense to accommodate what Michael Penix does well.
And this is kind of Mike McCarthy's lame duck year. Penix has worked in so many different systems. He's done a lot of different stuff. And that Washington offense was about as NFL transferable. And I've had people tell me that who would know. It's about as NFL transferable as. So if you need this guy to start day one, there's going to be some rocky stuff. They do have a good offensive line, so the pressure might not be as much of a problem. But, I look at McCarthy, I look at Nix. Nix is close. But for me, he was my third-ranked quarterback. I'm taking Penix. So,
all right.
There's your craziness there. Speaking of craziness, the Las Vegas Raiders at 13. You are on the clock, sir.
Ooh, and there's a lot of ways that you can go with this one.
Yep.
And I thought about a trade, and this is one where if I were Howie Roseman, I would be making this call, but I don't think he does. And because Cooper DeJean is perfect for the Eagles. He's also pretty
too. Yeah.
Yeah. He's also pretty perfect for the Raiders, but
yeah.
When do you get the Raiders? JJ McCarthy is still there.
Yeah. By the way, it's funny you mentioned the Raiders for DeJean because my comp for him was Trayvon Mullen.
I think JJ McCarthy is probably the way to go here with what the Raiders would want to do, because I do think that they're in the market for a new quarterback, whether they think they are or not.
Well, they are. I mean, I've been the president of the Gardner Minshew fan club since it started. But yeah, that's not your franchise guy.
No, so I think JJ McCarthy is the way you would go here with the board falling unpredictably. They don't have to move up to get their franchise quarterback. I think that's speaking their language. So the Raiders will take JJ McCarthy.
Okay. 14th overall, the Chicago Bears. I think. Well, let's see who we've got here.
That's right. They slid back. Now this is interesting because you're showing defensive players here.
Well, this is all. We've done so much offense. Just the defense is starting to stack up.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's some good players there.
Yep. At 14, I think of all the guys left, Latu's Medicals, Murphy I like, Fuaga I love, Terry Arnold, I'm big on him. I think just for what they need and the playing style and the way it could work, Johnny Newton now, formerly Jerzon Newton. My comp for him was Geno Atkins. Everyone thought too small, the arms aren't long enough. Then he just goes out there and whoops everyone's butt. So I'm taking Jerzon Newton, defensive lineman, mostly.
He is my top-rated defensive player in this draft. So
there you go. I love him. I just love him.
No argument there. Tommy Harris could be the next Tommy Harris for them.
That's a good one. That's a good one. And I believe the Bears have drafted a defensive player before from Illinois. Dick Butkus, you heard him? I don't know. That worked out pretty well. Anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wouldn't say my top defensive player, my top defensive lineman, maybe. If Latu had clean medicals, I would have taken him like top 4 because he's just ridiculous. But there you go. So the Indianapolis Colts, hopefully with Anthony Richards coming back all healthy, what do you want to do?
Fingers crossed, man.
Yeah.
This Terry Arnold is a no-brainer here for me. Not even worth discussing. This would be what they would do. I would bet money on this one. So let's go.
Yep. Okay, 16 is the Seattle Seahawks, which is about 10 miles the other way from my house. So I am going to look at edge rushers, and I'm going to go with my top edge, which is Jared Verse of Florida State.
Okay.
With Turner, I want to bring these up again. Sorry.
There's questions with all these guys. To me, it's like, which is the most palatable question that you can answer with your team?
There's no like Aiden Hutchinson slam dunk here. And actually, Isaac from Penn State, we're gonna, we may not get to him, but I actually liked him more than Chop Robinson. Turns out, it looks like PFF did too. Turner I like in a lot of ways, but I think Jared Verse has a really great combination of winning in the old school way with pure power and just jujitsu hands. he's not quite as he doesn't have quite a Latsu's toolbox as far as pass rush moves, but he's got a lot. And a lot like Will Anderson Jr. last year, he's not a speed, bendy, motorcycle lean guy. But when he gets his hands on you, man, you're done. Next, go home. Because once he gets his hand, he will push you back into the pocket in a lot of the same ways that Anderson did at Alabama and later with the Texans. So the Seahawks, they're redefining the defense under Mike McDonald. They really have Uchenna Nwosu and a couple of developmental guys. This is where I'm going. And I like Verse better than any other edge in this class.
Yeah, my internet's getting a little funky there, so I missed some of that, but I'm good with your pick.
Okay, the Jaguars, 17.
Ooh, a lot of appeal here now.
Yeah. And now this teams in the second round are like, okay, there's someone really love here we want to move up for.
So this is an area Latu makes sense, although they just invested in Josh Allen.
The other Josh Allen.
The other Josh Allen.
I miss Jared Allen. He was fun.
The defensive superstar.
Yeah.
Murphy is interesting. I'm not sure that he's their best scheme fit, though.
No.
Yeah.
Both Murphy and Newton, you want them in a four on the floor defense. You really
absolutely you do. And that's not what Jacksonville does.
Yeah.
I like Jacksonville's. I got the chance to watch them enjoy practices in Detroit last year, and the speed that they have on defense is really impressive.
Yes.
I do think that they could use like somebody that's got a little grit to it, though.
Mm-hmm.
And Cooper DeJean as an outside bulldog zone/man corner who can also drop to safety if you need him to, play in the box if you need to.
Yep.
He's an interesting piece for them. It might not necessarily be their best need, but I think he would be a very good fit for what their defense lacks, which is somebody that's going to come up and pop you in the mouth a little bit instead of just running into you.
Yeah.
And I think DeJean does a very good job of that.
I've heard a lot of people say, people whose opinions I respect, and I could be wrong on this, he has to move to safety. I don't think so. He can play outside. He can play slot. He can play that star position, kind of the overhanging Jalen Ramsey. He's not Ramsey. Let's not go there. But
no,
as far as positional value, he can do a lot of things. And I know some people wouldn't take him in the first round. I would, and I think 17 is a good spot for him. So if that's your pick.
Yeah, well, let's do it. Yeah, let's make Cooper DeJean from Iowa the pick for the Jaguars.
Boom. Okay, so the Bengals, their top pick is just a whole lot of prayers for Joe Burrow's health. The first place
we have not taken as many offensive linemen as I do think will be off the board by this point, too. So this makes it very interesting for Cincinnati.
This is where you start. I think Fuaga, he can play either tackle spot, I think. He could play guard. They need a lot of help here. I'm compelled to go edge because their edge guys are getting a little older, and you want to get a year ahead of that, I think, because so many rookie defensive pass rushers overall, there are no offensive pass rushers. So many of those guys take a year because they got to get their hand techniques together, and they're going against great, now it's Trent Richardson. What are you going to do? But I'll take Fuaga from Oregon State here. I think he's just a prototype fit in a lot of different ways. Like wherever you want to put him, he's going to be great. He's got enough mobility, enough agility, and he's just nasty. He is absolutely nasty.
Going to be a very, very good NFL right tackle, I think.
Yep.
So I'm good with that.
So the Los Angeles Rams at 19. You are.
Oh my God, they're making a first-round pick.
I know.
We should trade just on principle because they haven't made a first-round pick.
let's have the Panthers move up to 19 because they don't have a first-round pick. That'd be fun.
Yeah, and God, Latu would be perfect for the Panthers. Replace Brian Burns.
Yeah.
Do you want to explore that? Because that's an interesting idea. They do have those two second rounders there that you could maybe wheel and deal with.
I'm gonna see. Okay. Carolina Panthers. I think if I'm Les Snead, I say no because I've got the picks to refill already. I don't know if I want to do it. I think I want to stay at 19 because obviously with Aaron Donald retiring, they've got good pieces, but they need more of them. Like really tone-setting, field-tilting players. So I'm compelled because you could get a lot of picks, this year and next year. But if I'm the Rams, I've been bereft of that, the ability to get and they're great at the later round stuff. But I think I'm going to pass. I think if
getting
I'm
a premium talent here is paramount. I think
if I'm less need, I want the pick.
All right. I do not like the idea of drafting Byron Murphy here to Aaron Donald. I don't like that idea at all.
Kobe Turner is really good. I don't know that you're never going to replace Aaron Donald anyway, but I think Kobe Turner is 45 pressures last year. He was really good.
He was very good. He was significantly better than Jalen Carter in the second half of the year. Yep. And I thought he got jobbed for Defensive Rookie of the Year on that. But
I'll tell you something. I'm an AP voter, and I voted for Turner. So there you go.
Yeah. So I think Latu is a good fit. Dallas Turner is an interesting fit here. I know he's not up on the screen right now, but I do think that Darius Robinson is a very good fit for what they want to do
I like
defensively
him a lot. Yes, multi-gap guy.
Yeah, because he can play inside, he can play outside, you can move him around, you can play him in an even, you can play him in an odd. I think he's very realistic here, but if Dallas Turner's still on the board, he's lightweight though, and that's a little concerning for the way that they've typically operated their defense.
Let's look at all the edges we've got left.
Yeah, you got Latu,
Turner, Isaac. I love Isaac. I like Jonah Ellis.
Yeah, those are day two guys for me. Darius Robinson, I don't know why PFF hates him so much.
In my top 50, he was in the low 30s. My comp for him, and I don't ever do same school comparisons, but I had to because when I started watching his tape, it was so like Aldon Smith. He's Aldon Smith.
I like that. That's very good. He was where's he at here? I'm looking at my big board. 37. So
yeah. That's about where I had him.
Good player, a good prospect, and I do like the versatility there.
Okay, let's go back to let's say they love Robinson in the building. If you're going to do that, do you then just say, you know what? I am going to take that trade with the Panthers. I'm going to move down to 33. The Panthers can come up, and I'm going to take Darius Robinson at 33 because I'll probably be there.
He could be, and if not, you're going to get somebody else useful. They have some needs coming up. They are a sneaky team need for a quarterback because Matthew Stafford is not going to play forever.
They are. Okay, so let's do this. Let's do this thing. So the Rams send 19 to the Panthers for 33. What else do the Panthers have to give up to do this?
I would think I don't think they would give up 39. I think that's unrealistic. So maybe 65 and then a pick next year where it's like they give up a second or a third, and the Rams would send back a second. We know that they have no problem trading future picks. That's what they do.
So the Panthers get 33. They give 33, 65, and a third round pick next year. The Rams give 19 and a second round pick next year.
Yeah,
I would if I'm Snead, I'm saying let's make it a third next year. Let's start to get a little rich.
Cool I can see Les Snead doing that with this. Yeah.
Okay, so
that makes sense to me.
Let's do it.
All right.
Dun-dun-dun. Okay, you are now the GM of the Carolina Panthers.
Now I'm the Carolina Panthers, and I really like Latu here.
Oh yeah,
more than I like Dallas Turner.
Yep.
That's when you move up, you have to have a specific player in mind. Latu is exactly what I want for that defense. If I'm rebuilding, so
yep,
I'm going there.
Agreed. Okay, the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is the most Steelers player I saw in this draft. So let's done. 100%. I love 100%. Jackson Powers Johnson. My comp for him was a more mobile Alex Mack. And if you remember Mack with the Browns and the Falcons, he was
Mack very well.
Big guy, wide butt, at 325, 330. Really good movement skills. Not in Mac's case. Mac was more like a phone booth guy. Powers Johnson can get to the second and third level. I loved him. And I'm into offensive linemen anyway. God knows the Steelers need him, and God knows those two quarterbacks they got, it's going to be kind of a weird thing.
Yeah,
so. Our former leader Neil Coulong, obviously a huge Pittsburgh fan. Once I did my scouting report on Twitter for Powers Johnson, he texted me and said, "Do you think the Steelers should take him at 20?" Like, abso-bleeping-lutely. He's a Steelers guy. That's what you want.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
That's easy.
Makes me sad because I want him at 29 for my Lions, but I'll find other ways.
That could be interesting. You'll find other ways. Okay, yes. Dolphins at 21. It's all you, dude.
Oh boy.
Let's just kind of go through who we have at the top here. Byron Murphy.
Yeah.
I mean,
Turner's got to be interesting because they do have they got guys coming back.
Yeah.
They need interior offensive line. The fact that they started who they started at left guard last year is embarrassing.
And they lost Robert Hunt to the Panthers, which is a big deal.
Yeah.
So at 21, are you looking at any of these guys going, maybe not yet?
So I
love Zach Frazier, especially because I love centers who just want to beat people up. And he's got that, yeah. And he'll play.
I love Cooper Beebe. Cooper Beebe is one of my guys in this draft, but this is absurdly early to take him.
Yes, it is.
If we're trying to keep any semblance of realism, so I can't do that. There,
a guy who's strong, but isn't. I'm not a huge fan of his movement skills. Like if you get him out of that gap, it can be, kind of an issue.
Yeah.
So let's go back to who we've got up top here.
I mean, Latham, I'm not the biggest fan of his. I don't know. It's not unfair to him. Graham Barton is interesting because I do think I'm one of those where I think his best position in the NFL is going to be left guard, which happens to be their biggest need.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't hate that pick there.
I couldn't figure out what to do with Barton until I heard someone. I don't remember who. I wish I did. I'd love to attribute it. Someone said. On a podcast I was listening to, they compared him to Joe Tooney. And I'm like, actually, now I get it. Chiefs,
who doesn't need
former
that?
Patriots left guard, now Chiefs left guard, who just when he's in there, when he's healthy, he's just such a good run blocker, great in pass pro.
Yep, and I think that's what Barton's going to be. So I would lean towards Graham Barton here for the Dolphins.
Okay, the Eagles of Philadelphia. It's cornerback time because Bradbury.
Yeah.
Oof. When I look at these guys, Rakestraw I'm not too high on. Andrew Phillips. I love Max Melton from Rutgers. Great match corner, but he's not, not a first round guy. I think I had him in my low 40s. If I'm looking at because they changed now it's Fangio, right? So who plays quarters? Who can play off? I think Nate Wiggins is a great player, but I think Kool-Aid McKinstry, as far as the ability to play both press and off, zone and man, Fangio wants his guys to know their spots, to know where they're going, to always be in phase. And I think Wiggins might have a bit more talent as a press, man, aggressive corner. I think McKinstry would fit more what Fangio wants to do. So I'm taking him.
I would agree. Yeah.
Hey, look at the Chargers again. And that's you, dude.
Oh boy!
Now they took Brock Bowers with the 11th pick.
They did,
and with the Vikings. Now they have 23.
So now they need offensive line. They still need wide receiver help because while Bowers is a great receiver, you got to get something there.
I'll say this: I got to talk to Harbaugh at this event during Super Bowl week, and I asked him about Justin Herbert, and he said the word protection like 26 different times. So. If we're looking at offensive tackles, and they have Slater on the left side, and Slater's fine when he's healthy.
Slater's very good when healthy. Mims scares the crap out of me.
Yes.
With a lot of things. So Latham is probably the safest pick there. I do like Jordan Morgan, and I think he's another one. You play him at tackle until he proves that he can't. But this is probably a little early for him.
Yeah, I would take Latham here as a right tackle. Right, because they've had major problems at right tackle. I mean, enough said.
Yeah, Toledo's on. Let's go with JC Latham there.
And I love Tyler Guyton. Really,
I do not. So that's interesting. We can scrap on him when we get to him.
For his size, but I don't want him at right tackle. I want him on the left side. So,
all right. So let's take Latham there.
Okay.
Interesting. There's a lot of good day two tackles for once.
Patrick Hall is another one I like a lot. Okay. Denver Broncos, the new Dak Prescott led Denver Broncos.
Wow.
I mean, if I'm Sean Payton, I see Dallas Turner there and I see my edge rushers and I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
Boom.
Click.
You into that?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. No problem at all. I think this would be crazy that he falls that far, but crazy happens.
Crazy does happen.
It does.
Green Bay Packers at 25. This is about where I like Byron Murphy. You know, you have a Kenny Clark who can just split double teams and beat people up and be all physical. Murphy is so good at gap shifting. He sees gaps like a running back does. He can flip one or two gaps like that. Very fast interior player. And they like to move guys around on the front. And I know they have a new defensive coordinator, which Packers fans are like, yeah, it's about time.
No more Joe Barry.
No more Joe Barry. Whatever shall we do? Regardless of scheme. And I know they want
Nate Wiggins kind of fits there.
He does.
They do need secondary help too.
By the way, I love them getting Xavier McKinney. That was such an underrated move.
Yes, agreed. Was one that as a Lions fan I wasn't too fond of,
but if I'm Goody, I'm looking at Murphy and I'm just thinking I can plug him in somewhere and he's going to win for the next 5 years.
Do you attack tackle? I hear it all the time. I don't think Packers fans understand where Zach Tom is going to be. I don't know if the team knows what Zach Tom is. Is he going to be the center? Is he going to be the right tackle?
Well, let's see what picks the Packers have. They have 25 and 41. They have 41, 58. I could get it later.
Yeah.
So am I taking the best player available, which in this case I believe to be Byron Murphy, or am I going for need? If I'm going for need, I probably take Nate Wiggins. Because their new DC has said I'm going to play press all the time, and Wiggins is
I think Wiggins would probably be the where they go on this.
I don't disagree with that. Okay, let's give him Nate Wiggins. What the heck?
Right. Good player.
And you get at 26, you have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers who need everything.
I like a pass rusher here, but I also like wide receiver here. Brian Thomas is really good.
Let's look at the receivers who are left on the board. Adonai Mitchell, Brian Thomas, Troy Franklin, Ladd McConkey, who I like a lot. Roman Wilson, I like a lot. Ricky Pearsall, I'm a big fan. Jalen Polk. A lot of receivers later, though. Let's see. The Bucs have 26, 57, 89, 92. You can get a guy later unless you're looking at a receiver going, oh, my God, I have to have him right now.
No, and I don't see that. I don't see that guy there.
I don't see
Brian Thomas could be, but
maybe Troy Franklin, maybe. But there isn't a guy here to me that it beats you over the head and says, yes, I have to do this. I mean, this may be where I take Murphy. Well, no, they got Cansey and Vita Vea, so maybe not. He fills Cansey's role more than Vea because Vea is the size of a building, and they just got Cansey last year, and he's really good. So,
yeah. Sorry, got a weird message there. I'm good with Murphy there. I think he's a good fit. You're just looking at all these positions, and there's so many guys at those spots that you think about that, and you're like, I can get that in the second round. I can get that in the third round.
Yeah, unless you're totally convicted that one of these receivers is like, yes, I need him.
I mean, I'm close with Thomas there, but I'm not there. There's so many guys that you can get later on that can be close to him, I think.
Although this is the NFL thinks so. We should find a guy that look with a really like Division IV school, Raccoon State Teachers College, because he loves that. Yeah, I don't know. I might go Franklin, but it's your pick. So if you want Murphy, that's what we'll do.
Yeah, let's take Murphy there. All right.
Okay, so the Cardinals here at 27.
Ooh.
They took Malik Neighbors at 4.
So they got Neighbors. So that takes them out of the Mitchell, Thomas, Leggett, Franklin, lots of wide receiver. I think Roman Wilson belongs in that conversation. I don't think the NFL does, but I think he does.
Yeah. By the way, I let you make my pick. 26 was supposed to be mine, but then I'm losing track. So you're odd, I'm even. My apologies.
Yeah, that's okay. We're good.
Fine. So 27 is yours.
Amarius Mims, that's again, he could be the best tackle in this class, and it wouldn't surprise me at all. He could also be spending a second contract playing for the Michigan Panthers. There's that much variance with him.
You just don't know.
800 snaps and getting hurt twice in workouts scares the crap out of me.
Yep.
So I'm not going there. They got their wide receiver. Let's look at the cornerbacks here. Pass rushers too, but
that's probably where I'd go.
I love Mike Sanders still here.
Oh man, and he's a slot. Yeah, okay. Nickel's the new base, guys. Your slot's your starter.
Yeah, look at what Brian Branch did for the Lions last year. Look at what look at how much the Browns defense improved once they got a reliable slot in there.
Yeah. My comp for him was Mike Hilton, just a really aware guy all over the field. He can play a little bit of outside, but he's your slot, and you just have that lockdown. And, this, the on-off splits with Branch, and Branch couldn't hit the field. That defense was completely different and not in a good way. I wouldn't argue with that. If you took him at 27, I'd be like, yeah, touchdown.
All right, let's take Mike Sanders still here. An ascending player, only 2 years of defense, and he's already really, really good at it.
Had 6 interceptions and a bunch of pass breakups. Some of those were, just he was in the right place at the right time, but he's got a better jump ball ability than you would expect from his size. He's very aggressive, very tenacious. You can't play on that Michigan defense otherwise.
No.
Yeah, he's tremendous. Okay, Bills at 28. I have a few questions about Adonai Mitchell, but when it comes to the toolkit and with the guys, this is around like 25 and lower is when I have to start. Like when I watch the tape, I have to balance the positive effect of the explosive plays versus the negative effect of the plays that just don't work. And with Mitchell, I do have questions, but I'm taking him here because they need something and they need it now. Yeah. And he's an explosive speed cut receiver. Not a huge yak guy. There's some things he needs to work on. I would, I had him ranked higher than Thomas and Franklin, but not by much.
Okay.
But yeah, so 29 Lions. Hey.
Oh man, you're sitting there with Brian Thomas looking at me, and my God, that's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Let's just because cornerback is still a major need. Safety is a massive need. With the news that Kirby Joseph is not going to be ready until training camp after hip surgery. I do not like the idea of having a starting lineup of Ifiatu Malifanu, who misses every third game in his career, and Kirby Joseph, who wasn't good last year after a great rookie season. And their backup currently, there's only one on the roster, is Brandon Joseph, who did not play as a undrafted rookie last year. They need help there. So if there's a cornerback who could also maybe double as a safety, we got to look at the corners. The cornerback is also a need. Not totally sold on what they've got there.
Yeah, see here, just for me, Rakestraw, Tampa, Lassiter.
Tampa's interesting. Lassiter is very interesting, but this is really early for him.
Yeah.
He's a good player. He's a very good schematic fit. My Lions Wire colleague, Russell Brown, wrote a very good piece about how well he fits. So that's an interesting one.
Yeah, I look at Renardo. Did you watch Renardo Green's tape against Malik Neighbors specifically?
Yes, he's very good.
Had an interception and a deflection on a fade ball in the end zone.
Stayed on the hip very well. I thought he understood
a fade ball last year than Jaden Daniels, and Renardo Green had that stuff on lock. I also love Taylor Demerson from Texas Tech.
I do too. But again, you're looking at second round guys here.
Exactly. So that's maybe not where I do that. And I don't love, you may feel differently. Rakestraw and Tampa, okay. I'll tell you who I do love overall as a safety, and that's Bullard. And the reason I like Bullard as a safety, he and the Lions, this, they've had to switch between, as I said before, because of their personnel, they have to switch between a lot of schemes under Aaron Glenn. Well, in 2022, Kirby Smart had Bullard as a primarily box slot guy. They did that in 22 and 23. They made him a free safety on like 80% of his snaps. Completely flipped his profile. He nailed everything.
Yeah.
Frazier, the safety from West Virginia, that's just a Dan Campbell glass-eating, ankle-biting guy. But given what you've laid out.
So that's the big other one. Let's look at that offensive line who's available.
But I would go Bullard here, given the need you presented. So
I'm not taking Mims. That's
offensive line. We'll just do OT and IOL. Here are your guys.
Zach Frazier's sexy there. Jordan Morgan's a really good. Are you
looking at Decker like maybe we need a left tackle?
So it came out this week that he had a bone removed from his foot to help him stay healthy.
That would explain the 8 sacks allowed more than I knew before.
and right now their backup tackle is a good question. Probably Dan Skipper. So Jordan Morgan is a guy that I know that they've looked at. I like him more than I like Mims. Frazier is very interesting, though. They are in need of long-term reinforcement there. Their starting 5 offensive line is phenomenal, probably the best in football. Their depth is bottom 5 right now, and their offense with Jared Goff does not work. Ben Johnson's offense does not work, whether in Detroit or anywhere else, without a great offensive line.
Right.
Frazier is probably. I'm trying to pretend that I'm Brad Holmes, and I wish I was that.
Dan Campbell doing the door flies open thing.
Yes. I think Zach Frazier is a good fit there, so I'm going to take Zach Frazier there. Although it's really hard. This is a tough one because Brian Thomas isn't usually available for me to pick, and I really like him. But I think Jameson Williams is stepping up as wide receiver 2 this year. So I'm gonna build my offensive line. I'm going to take Zach Frazier.
Okay. Done and done. Baltimore Ravens. This is another interesting one.
Who looks like a Raven? This is the question that you get to ask.
Like a Raven. God, I would take Peyton Wilson here if the injuries didn't just scare the crap out of me because he's such that kind of guy. Zay Flowers worked as a really good intermediate guy. I think I want Thomas here as the vertical component to just unlock you more of the top-rocking offense.
He's your Odell Beckham replacement. He comes from the same role at the same school.
I agree. Okay, the Niners are on the clock here. Let's. Do we just want to get the right tackle taken care of? Because oof,
they would.
They re-upped him. I think they re-upped him. I think. Yeah,
they're. I see them in dire need of right tackle and cornerback. It still frustrates a lot of Lions fans that the Lions got beaten by a team that ran out what they did at cornerback.
Yeah.
So
I
like Jordan. I like Jordan Morgan. I think he's mobile. I think he can play left or right. And I also think you can kick him inside if it doesn't work. So I'll go Morgan there.
Okay. So when you look at the corners, you don't see anyone that comes up right away like this is a Niners guy.
No, and
they by the way, they've been so good at getting those corners in the later rounds. They may just look at this and go, nah.
Yeah, and again, I think the depth at cornerback in day 2 and early day 3 is really impressive in this class. So I think they can probably attack it again there the way they have.
So you're going Jordan Morgan, tackle from Arizona.
Yeah.
Okay. This is going to be fun. This is going to be fun. Troy Franklin is intriguing. If he's here, I probably go that way.
He's a good vertical threat. He fits better than any other wide receivers there. And I say that I really think Ladd McConkey is going to do very well in the NFL, but I'm not sure that he's a great fit for what their offense wants. As weird as that might sound.
Well, when I did that, I did a 40-minute. Greg Cosell and I got Bo Nix on the phone to run through a bunch of plays for 40 minutes. And when I was getting the plays from my program, it was like, oh, there's Troy Franklin making another incredible downfield catch. Oh, there's Troy Franklin again. Oh, look, Troy Franklin. Go figure. This, to me, it's a slam dunk. I actually love what McConkey could be, but I kind of feel like they have that already. What they need is a guy who can stretch the field and isn't Valdez-Scantling, because you need a guy with consistency. And I saw Franklin as a guy who could run all sorts of intermediate and deep concepts, and was just good with the ball, had everything under control, and it just worked. So, yeah. On the way to the three-peat, we finished the first round. Are they going to grade our draft? No, they're not. Anyway, so here is our draft. Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors, Drake May, Roma Dunze, Joe Alt, Quinyon Mitchell, Troy Fatanu, and Fashanu are the top 10. We will have this video up on YouTube and all the other channels. We will also be doing a mock draft listicle explaining what the heck we were thinking here. So good stuff. Always a fun exercise, especially with you, Jeff, and we appreciate your knowledge and wisdom and your time so close to the draft. My God, it's just around the corner, 6 days.
This was fun.
Yeah, so we'll keep the caffeine going. I feel like I've had to go up to the Dan Campbell quad Americanos, so that's kind of where we are at this point. Is it a quad now, or is it like 6 shots? How many shots does he take?
Probably 6.
Probably 6. Yeah. This close. Anyway, Jeff, my friend, thank you so much. Really, really cool to do this with you. And head over to Draft Wire for all the cool stuff over there, and Lions Wire as well.
Yep, we got a lot of stuff coming, and I'll see you in Detroit.
I will not be there, actually.
Oh, okay. Well, you will see me in Detroit. Everybody,
yes.
the collective, everybody. You will see
yes.
me in Detroit.
We have 5 people, four or 5 people going from the Wire Network, so it's gonna be cool. I'll be here. I have never gone to the draft. I stay here and just do write up. Scouting report. Yeah, it works better for me to stay home, but I'm glad you're going. Plus, it's in your city.
Fun. It is. I will be there Thursday and Friday. Saturday is my favorite day of the year, and I like to do that one solo, sitting right where I am right now. It's my favorite. I love day 3 of the draft.
Oh yeah, yep.
It's heaven for me. It's zen.
Well, especially in years like this, because the way I tend to put it, drafts are either tall or they're wide. That makes sense. Some drafts are tall, and like the top is amazing, and the middle rounds are kind of. I think this is a very wide draft. So.
I'm with you on that.
All right, Jeff Risdon from Draft Wire and Lions Wire, thank you so much. And keep banging the Wire Networks for all our draft coverage.